order on Tuesday, May 18th at 6:01. Welcome everybody. And digital things always go a little bit wrong, so I don't have the agenda, so Rashae's going to help me out. So Rashae, what's next?
Okay, so we need to do approval of the April 20th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Guys, did you have any changes you wanted to make?
I saw no changes needed on the minutes.
Okay, do we have?
I could make a motion to accept the minutes for the last meeting.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Rashae, what's next?
Okay, so we actually, we have a public hearing tonight for demolition. So this is Sam Lacey and Nika Mathis, applicant Revelation Exchange LLC owners request to demolish a small 1970s addition to the property at 111 South 3rd Street. So if you guys, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna open this public hearing up, and then I'm gonna swear you in. You're gonna give testimony. We're going to close the public hearing, open the regular meeting, and then vote on that. And then hang on, because then we're going to come back and then do the rest of your applications toward the end and try to get other people that have smaller applications through first. So if Sam and Nika, can you guys, there you guys are. Hi. Hello. So can you both raise your right hand and repeat after me? Do you solemnly swear that what you are about to testify is the truth to the best of your knowledge? If so, say I do.
I do.
I do.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so can you guys talk about what you're wanting to demo a little bit for us, please?
Sure. So as you'll see in application COA 21-84, it's a small addition, white vinyl siding addition to the back of the home that was built in, I believe, 1973, although we're not sure on that. We do know for sure that it is not 50 years old or older. I know that's kind of a cutoff. It was used as the laundry room in the home previously, and we would like to petition to remove that addition, and underneath is the deck. The deck is wood, so we would remove that, and as you'll see in one of our later applications, replace that hole made in the home with double French doors there off the back of the home.
There's a photo of the addition on page 7 of our demo permit application, if you'd like to see the addition.
So will the deck stay, or will something else be there? As the deck is not being demoed, only that walls and roof. Correct. Basically.
Correct.
Okay.
The deck will stay.
All right. I mean, doesn't seem appropriate to the home. I don't want to put opinions in other people's mouths, but for me, it doesn't seem appropriate to the home. It's not historic. Does anybody else have any other questions?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. Rashae, what's our next step? Close the...
Yeah, so we're going to close the public hearing now at 6:05 p.m. and then now we're going to open the regular HRB meeting at 6:05 p.m. as well. And now, if there's no further discussion, do we have a motion for this?
I make the motion to recommend approval of COA 21-24. My motion is based on the following findings. The demolition is consistent with the demolition standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Is it 84?
It is 84. That's fine. Okay. And do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Excellent. Okay. And then, and Sam Sam, so you guys just wait and then we'll get to the rest of yours toward the end of the application. So just hang on tight. You may want to drink a cup of coffee or something in between now and then. So it'll be a few minutes. Okay.
All right, we'll do, Rashay. Thanks.
Okay. All right. The next one is a COA 21-83 Physicians to Children's and Adolescents applicant owner request to add signage to the property at 201 South 5th Street. So this is Willie. Hey, Willie.
I'm gonna have to recuse myself from this for sure.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, you are.
What COA did you say this was, Rashay?
This is 83.
So is this like a different business within that business? Because I saw that the sign was not the same.
He's asking me, Physicians Children is removing their large sign and then they got two different entrances. So they have an illness entrance and a wellness entrance. And they're making the signs always uniform to the other signs, the existing signs that are there. So they're removing one large sign. If you look real close, you can see where we sort of put the brick in there to cover it up. And then they're having two signs, and then this one sign is a directional sign for them. Now the second business, yes, the Partners in Pediatric Therapy, that's Lance Blanford, and they're on the second floor. Did that help?
Yes. So Rashay, it's two signs on Physicians to Children and one for Partners in Pediatric.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not three signs for one business. It's okay. Okay.
They're all, yeah.
And then a question, does the directional sign then does not count as a labeling sign, or does it?
It still does count, but there can be exceptions. We've allowed additional signage if there's more than one entrance before.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Rashay, is there an addition to one of these signs that's not showing on the application?
There was a slight change that I emailed to you guys. I hope that the applications may have not updated correctly, because if I do it the same day, I don't know why, but whenever I do the updates, it doesn't necessarily always take. But I'd emailed you, and I believe there was a small change, Willie. They had added partners to one of the signs, just the word partners.
Oh, yes, yes. There was, they wanted a little bit of verbiage on there. Yes, to that
So
effect.
Exactly what was that verbiage?
Affiliate, wasn't it?
What was the verbiage?
It was a small thin black line at the very bottom that said part of Physicians to Children.
So is that level of description allowable by the signage ordinance, Rashay?
Yes.
You're positive of that?
We don't discriminate against anything stating that in there. As far as the regular city sign ordinance, we do not discriminate against that type of lettering being, or that type of verbiage being in there. No.
So can somebody essentially just educate me? Can somebody put anything they want to put on a sign as long as the sign doesn't exceed a certain limitation on square footage?
Yes. Now that is for the city sign ordinance, because we don't control what it looks like or the content. So for regular city signs, they can put anything in there. And so the content is not what I handle on the city level outside the historic district. I just handle basically the sizes and the placement.
And Rick, I'm looking at it. It's very, very small on one side. It says an affiliate of Bardstown Primary Care.
Yeah,
No problem.
what I'm just used to, and I'm not going to belabor this. Usually you're limited to the name of the business, the hours, the logo, and you can't start adding a lot of different things, but that's not relevant to us. So I'll make a motion to recommend approval of COA 21-83 My motion is based on the following findings. The signage is consistent with the sign standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
I second that.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, Rashay, I have my, the satellites were slow and I have my agenda now, so.
Great.
We're moving on to COA 21-47, Just Jane at 107 West Flagey. Do we have someone here for that?
She is not here for that.
Do we want to wait or do we want to, is this something we can move on?
There was a rendering sent with that. The only difference is the color that was proposed is much darker than what the rendering showed. This is the color for the main building. And then this is the trim, which is the lighter gray. So these were the two colors as presented in the drawing that I sent to you guys.
This one?
Yep,
And then what was the second one?
the trim.
Rashay, if I read that correctly, it looks like the existing storefront elevation has 4 different colors. And it looks like we're going down to 2 colors, setting the doorway to the side.
Yes.
But it looks like we're going from 4 to 2. The image that was sent was unfortunate. It shouldn't have been sent. I mean, not saying that you shouldn't have sent it, but it actually works against the whole approval process. It was just not something I could react to. If the other board members want to go forward with it, I'll support what they want to do.
I'm not super clear on where these colors are going.
Is the trim that you're showing us, Rashay, is that where the rendering showed white?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with those colors because they're so close to each other. It seems
Rashay,
like it would look monotone.
Rashay, can you show the image that you sent out? Can you hold that up on your iPad?
Let me see.
Well, in this rendering looks, it looks like 3 colors. It looks like kind of the background color, the whitish light gray trim, and then another color within those squares.
It isn't, as far as I know, it's just the 2 colors.
Can you show the existing? No, the existing.
Yeah.
What's there now? My personal feelings is we're going backwards and not forward on this.
I feel like it's way too dark for I mean, I don't know what else is adjacent but I don't know that we've done so much dark on the wood trim except for that one really dark place. But the truth is we have allowed people to do on this street, I think on this block, very dark trim. So I do feel like with 2 colors, we're losing a lot of the detail that exists on this current storefront. How do people feel about that?
Beth, I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm not, if I make a motion, it'll be to deny.
I am okay with the colors specifically because we have done that before, but I would prefer that there was a 3rd color in there to bring out the little bits of trim that's similar.
Then we can table that and I can send that recommendation to the applicant to see if they want to bring that back.
And Rashay, can we get her to attend one of these meetings? Because she missed last month.
Yeah, I don't know if she's having difficulty. I'm not sure what's going on, but I did ask her to attend this.
Okay.
via Zoom. So I'm not sure if there's technical difficulties or something arising with that.
Here's my question. Can we move on from this and come back to see if she does make it to the meeting? Because we obviously have a lot more to do.
Yeah. We can.
Because I would like to have her input before we vote on this, if we can. And if
Okay.
we have, if that means tabling it at the end, but let's give her a chance to get here.
Okay.
Is everybody else okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so let's move on to COA 21-80. My old Kentucky home. It's at the hotel.
No, the country club.
Oh, okay.
Is anyone here representing that? I don't think I see anyone here that's representing that one either. Nope, there is not.
I could not get any kind of a sense of what this looks like from a design standpoint, looking at what was submitted.
It's a poor rendering.
You know, it's in the back and it's not, I say it's in the back and it's not obvious. I don't know what you see as you're coming down from the Stephen Foster Story Amphitheater. Maybe you do in fact see it. But out of principle, that the drawings just, for me, they aren't sufficient to make a decision.
I also asked them for professional drawings, and that was what I was given. And I indicated that I didn't think it was going to be enough for you guys to determine that. And I think they still wanted to move forward. So if you guys want to table this, and then I can make it even, I think, more abundantly clear that we need professional drawings for this, then I'm willing to talk to them about that if you would like for me to do that.
What's the effect of us tabling something versus denying it?
Tabling means they can come back.
If we deny it, can they come back with better plans?
Yes, but if you table it, they can come back with better plans too.
And there's a lot less paperwork involved.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
I would like to table this and
Okay.
we'd come back to this at a different time.
Okay.
And they're not even here to discuss it, so.
Okay, do you want to make the motion, Pat?
Yes, I motion that we table COA 21-80 until we have more detailed drawings of the attached roof.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Moving on to COA 21-81. 211 South Third, Mr. Tom and Sheila Hurst.
Yes.
Tommy, are you there?
You're on mute, Mr. Hurst.
All right, how about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, Tommy, I have a question. How are you, first of all?
I'm fine, Rick. How you been?
Good. Are your columns the same, going to be the same stucco, same color of your house? Is it going to be the same finish, or is it a brick column that the fence is connected to?
It will be the same as my house, which is
Got it.
also the same as the columns that we have around the backyard.
Got it. Okay. That's all, my only question I have.
So it'll be of that same color yellow with the white cap on top.
Yep.
Stucco.
So everybody else knows, I think it looks fine to me. I think it's
Approximately
good.
4 foot high in the front.
And
It's
It's
closer
mostly-
to 5 foot in the back, but it'd be closer to 4 in the front.
I had a question because the fencing number 4 says do not install front yard fencing where there's no historic precedent. Mr. Hurst, do we have some old pictures that show fencing in the front?
I've never seen one, so I'll have to actually say no.
Okay.
But I took out a hedge that was there
Mhm.
ever since I bought the house. I've tried to keep that hedge up the best I could, but it's just gotten so worn and out of shape, thin and where the trees are big, it sucks all the stuff out of the ground, and I never could get them to grow back there. So I took the hedges out in hopes to put this fence in place of it.
So I'm perplexed, since it says we're not allowed to do front yard fencing.
It says
Where does that leave us?
It says privacy fences and solid fences. That's what, that's the description. Privacy fences that are solid wood boards.
Which one are you looking at, Stephanie?
F9, Suzanne.
Suzanne, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Oh, you're down on number 9. Yeah, I was reading number 4. Fencing, yeah, the F9 is talking about backyards and side yards, and fencing 4 is talking about front yards.
Well, is this the front yard or the side yard?
It's the front yard.
It's the front yard.
It is the front. Of course, it is the side of the front, but it is the front. It's not going across the front.
It's the side, yeah.
It's not going to go across the front of the property. It's just going to run down Muir Street only.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I love the way the front of the house looks. It's a beautiful home.
Thank you.
There is some, yes, go ahead, Beth. There is some requirements by planning and zoning that you'll see that's also on the application. There's a 30 feet site distance triangle. So from the corner of that going back, that would have to be back at least 30 feet to not mitigate that site distance triangle. And then Jessica Filiatra, she requested a locate. I believe, Tommy, you've already done the locate, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so the locate's already been completed. So he has already done that since the application was created. But he did have a privacy hedge there. I know that's not necessarily a fence, but he did have, you know, the hedging there that was located there. And it would not be going over the rest of the front. I'm not saying that that should be an exception. I'm just saying that it is something that can be taken into context, given this, that it's not complete front yard fencing. It's only one side.
Right.
I would like to say that I really am okay with this fence because it is mostly see-through at this point. I do think it should be pushed back from the edge at least a little bit. But I'm wondering if 42 inches wouldn't be a better compromise instead of 48. And we have to figure out a way that this can be an exception because, I mean, I feel like because there was a privacy hedge there, that this is okay, but we also have to look at our rules and say, why is this okay? And how can we make this okay?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Tommy, I have a question.
Yes.
If you're facing your house to the right, you have a wall that's a stucco wall that hasn't been painted. You know the wall I'm talking about.
Yes, we just restuccoed that, and so
Right.
and it will be painted yellow as well.
So that wall is so many inches off of the curb, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there is a measurement. So does the line of this fence follow that same line? Is it completely in line with that wall? Or does it sit out further or forward or back from that wall?
It's pretty much in line with that wall, yes.
And it's
And-
perpendicular, right?
Wait, so are we saying there's already on the opposite property line and an adjacent fence, like on the opposite side of the property?
No, Beth, almost adjacent to the house, if you're facing the house on the right-hand side, there is a stucco retaining wall that
Where
goes,
the pool is.
yes, that goes back to a small little building. So it seems to me that you'd want to follow that same line straight up. If that line is already established, it seems like you should follow that line.
Yeah.
And then just stop 30 feet of the sidewalk is what the city was saying, I believe, Rashay.
That was, yeah, so planning and zoning. And so I would, if this were to be approved, it would be with the conditions that it would have to be under 4.5 feet. and that it would also have to meet the requirements from planning and zoning in the city as stated.
Well, what do you mean by 4.5 feet?
That's the regulation for the fencing.
For the
Any
height of,
fencing visible
Height.
from
For
the
the
street
height-
has to be, yeah.
for the height
it
of
has
the,
to be under.
how tall is the plan? What are we showing on the plan?
Well, I'm saying it's going to be 4 feet. I don't know that I actually have a plan.
Okay, well, if it's 4 feet, then it's 4 feet, which is under 4.5 feet.
Mhm.
And are you okay, Tommy, with stopping at 30 feet from the front sidewalk?
If that's the regulation, I'm okay with that.
Okay,
Tommy,
It's
sorry,
not
Tommy,
what we wanted. It's not exactly what we wanted, but if it has to be, then that's what we'll do.
Tommy, what is the height of the wire portion or the metal portion of the fence in the back?
It runs with the lay of the land. It averages more like 4.5 to 5 feet. So it's a little taller back there.
Okay.
I'd be willing to make a motion if we're.
Well, I feel like we still need to address the rules and why we are going to allow this, because I think we are. I don't think we have a problem with it. Honestly,
I liked your phrasing. Beth, the pre-existing hedgerow already provided.
I also want to mention the amount of traffic when school pickup occurs.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Just to give that a little bit of protection from that, because that is kind of nuts.
So it's a safety feature also.
Yeah, I mean, the cars go all the way down by his house, that entire block, the block in front of it, and all the way down 3rd. So, Roche, is that enough reasoning, or is that, I've lost my place.
I think that that's a good statement to make.
Okay. All right.
Please always note those kind of things.
Okay. Pat, did you want to make the motion?
Yes, I will make a motion to recommend the approval of COA 21-81 with the following conditions. The motion is based on the findings that the fence is consistent with the fence standards set forth in section 4, and my page just moved on me.
Do we want to say, Pat, do we want to say?
I'm getting ready, yeah, okay. Bardstown Historic Design and Review Manual with the contingency that the fence will stop according to the city county regulations 30 feet from the sidewalk. This is done as a side fencing in consideration of the fact that the hedge has been here historically for years, and that this property is adjacent across the street from heavy traffic when school is being dismissed, so that it'll provide added safety measures for anyone on the sidewalk and street.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Was that unanimous, or were there any nays?
Unanimous.
All right, moving on to COA 21-82.
And Mr. Hurst, you just wait till the city council blesses that in 2 weeks at their meeting.
Okay.
And then you'd be free to go ahead and proceed.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank
you, Tommy. All right, moving on to COA 21-81. Tom and Sheila, no, I'm a liar. COA 21-82, Mr. Wilson. This is to remove a couple of trees.
Yes.
Are you here?
Good
Healy's
evening.
here.
Guppy Wilson, yes.
Okay, so we
Do you
have.
guys want to tell us a little bit about the trees and why you want them removed?
Okay, I was advised probably about this time last year by Boblett's service that I had two big, huge maple trees that were somewhat hazardous, dangerous. And then I got hold of Mr. Robbie Smith, and he came up here, and he pretty much told me the same thing. If there was any way to save these trees, I would absolutely do anything possible to save them, but I don't think they can be salvageable. And here we are.
And they're in the front yard over the sidewalk.
They may fall north, south, east, or west, and I don't know. I'm right on the corner here of 3rd Street, and it's probably hazardous is the correct adjective for it.
Is one worse than the other?
Yes, ma'am.
Which one? The one adjacent to closest to the corner, or the one further in up?
The one further into the walkway to the house north of that, yeah.
Yeah. Now I don't know
it's a big deal.
Yeah, no, it seems to be leaning towards your house, and it looks like it's hollow at the bottom, and
it's very hollow.
There was also an email located from Robbie Smith in the application on page 9, who talks about the poor health and the structure, and that they're sugar maples.
Yeah, and those aren't good trees to start with.
I was just thinking about, we did this with
but I don't think I can save them.
I'm sorry, sir. I think I interrupted you. I couldn't hear you.
Like I said, I would love to save both of the trees, but I can't save them, I don't think.
Well, I was just thinking about another home that had 2 trees similar to this in the front. And I'm not going to say this is what we have to do, because I don't know from these images, I can't truly tell about the health of these trees, but we asked them to do one year and replace it, and then do the next one the next year and replace it, so that that first tree would have some growth. But I can't really tell if that is a safe decision to make on this one.
I would be concerned with that because of Robbie's email saying that they're both so damaged.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of, I was like, I don't want us to, have an issue with safety. I just couldn't quite tell from the images. Well, what do you want to replace these trees with if you have them cut down, sir?
I would probably get some other advice, but I would probably put back maple. That would be in conjunction here with 3rd Street.
Okay, and Roche, can we request like a certain size caliper or?
Yeah, well, you can request that it be a large growth tree that will go back, like a large maple tree that would go back.
Okay, because I think that's what we need to do. I know when we did this last time, City Council required a specific caliper, but I don't have the knowledge to.
I believe it was around 2 inches.
Okay.
What is that?
A 2-inch diameter.
What does that mean? Oh, replace it with a 2-inch diameter tree to start with?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
In other words, yeah. So a decently good sized tree to go ahead and go back.
2 inches, nothing. I mean, that's like.
But a maple grows fast.
But, he's going to start with a new tree.
Yeah, you can't plant a seed. You have to buy
He's gonna,
a decent tree.
he'll buy a tree from a nursery, absolutely.
Yeah.
That is some stage of growth. It's not gonna be in a bucket or anything.
Yeah, we just need to address that if we feel, especially on 3rd Street, those very large trees, it's kind of, iconic to that street. We need to address the size that goes back.
I am 100% with historical zone.
Good.
Okay. Are there any other questions from any board members?
No, ma'am.
Nope.
Okay, do we have a motion for COA 21-82?
I will make a motion to recommend the approval of COA 21-82 with the following conditions. My motion is based on the following findings: that the tree removal is consistent with the landscape standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design and Review Manual due to their decaying condition, and that they will be replaced by 2 large growth trees, probably maple in variety, to be staff approved for the final
There you go, that's perfect.
tree.
All right, do we have a second?
Second motion.
Thank you. Do we, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Moving on, Mr. Wilson, this will have to go through city council, I believe, next week before you can move on this. But once they do that and you get your letter, you can go ahead and do what you need to do. Thank you, sir. You have a good one. All right, moving on to COA 21-28. Joel Buckman, 509 North.
He's actually tabling this, guys, because there's so many tonight. So he's tabled his application and it's removed by his request.
Okay.
Okay.
I can handle that.
Yeah.
Moving on to COA
2178. They were just, what it was is I thought Miss Mauser was, and she emailed me for clarification about this a couple of days ago. And basically Miss Mauser was not asking for another driveway extension. That was just the previous plan that had the driveway extension on there. So 21-78 is not to be reviewed.
Okay.
So we go to 21-79.
Good.
All right. Ms. Mauser, are you here?
I am.
All right. You want to tell us what's going on here?
Yes. So I have a patio, an existing patio that lies between the 2 structures on my property, the main house and then the garage. I would like to extend the roof between the house and the garage and to cover the patio. And I'd like to finish that in a raised seam metal roof, if possible. I have someone looking at that. They think that can be done. If not, it would just be the same asphalt shingle as exists on the garage and the main house today.
You use the word extending. You mean just a new structure, though, don't you?
Well, yeah. So just covering the patio, attaching to the current roof line on the garage in the house.
So you do foresee them tearing off parts of those roofs to make one continuous?
No, they would.
No. I'm sorry. It would just be some sort of support system at the edges, and then they would just span across there.
That's
and there would be no walls.
Right. And they're actually thinking they can do it with just a metal beam from garage to house without the corner post, which is what I prefer, but we'll have to see if that can be done. That's why I called it an extension, because it wouldn't have any other structure going to the ground. It would just go from roof to roof with the metal beam internal to the structure.
And none of this is viewable from a public way, right?
No, you would not be able to tell it from the rear or the front of the house standing in either direction because both structures obstruct the view of that.
Gotcha.
Riche, is there any precedent set for having partial metal and partial shingle?
No, this would be the board's preference, but the metal would have to be a standing seam metal. It would have to be the 16 inches seam to seam, a 1-inch seam, and it would have to be flattened between the seams.
Okay, my question is, I don't like the idea of the metal roof butting right up against the shingle. I didn't know if we could like drop it down.
It will actually set below the soffit.
That's exactly what I was going for, because I don't like, it'd be weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't
actually touching.
No, I want it cosmetically appealing, of course.
And do you know if the roof line for the garage and the roof line for the house, are they at the same height?
They are very close. The house is a little bit taller. I think it's maybe 6 inches. But they're not exactly the same.
My only concern there is if it's below the soffit on the house, where would that meet over on the garage?
We would make sure that it's below the soffit on both. So we would use the lower line on the garage below the soffit, and then it will go over to the house. And there, like I said, there'll be a 4 or 6 inch difference in that.
Riche, would that be okay?
That would be the preference of the board.
Is this with the slope? Do you then put a gutter on the low end, or will it? I'm trying to picture how the rain would fall for you.
With the standing seam, the water would run between those seams down.
Just onto the ground.
Yeah, and I don't know if there would be a gutter or not, but that's a good question.
Yeah, the plan would be to be a gutter on the opposite sides that would tie into the current downspouts.
Good, great, thank you.
And Ms. Mauser, do you understand the 16 inches seam to seam and not having ridges in between the seams? So it's about 16 inches between each seam and then a 1-inch rise on that. And then it has to be completely flat in between and not have ridges in it.
Right.
So we had a lot of confusion. If that was to go forward, that would be the absolute requirement, that it would be looking like historic standing seam.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
my contractor understands that. We'll review that again. And then, as I said, if that is not possible to tie it in to look, appropriate, we would just use the existing shingles that are on the 2 structures today. I prefer not to do that, but.
So Riche, can we leave the final design pieces that are kind of unclear because like the 2 heights are slightly different of the buildings, and can we leave those parts to you and final approval of the standing seam? I mean, I think we're okay with approving standing seam, but if it doesn't work out, can we leave that up to you, Riche?
Yes, that's perfectly fine if you leave that up to me.
Okay. Do we have any other questions from the board?
No, thank you.
Do we have a motion for COA 21-79?
I will make a motion to recommend the approval of COA 21-79 with the following conditions. My motion is based on the following findings: that the roof extension is consistent with the roof standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design and Review Manual, and that if it does work to use the material of metal, that the standing seams will be 16 inches with a 1-inch rise, smooth finish. Also with the condition that if any changes are necessary, that those could be staff approved by Riche.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
ma'am.
All right. Ms. Mauser, you probably know this, but you have to wait for this to go through City Council, and then you'll receive a letter that states that you can move ahead with this.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to COA 21-72. Mr. No, I think I pronounced that right. A sidewalk.
Jim?
It's 208 South 3rd.
He is not here. I don't know if he's had technical difficulty or something has arisen. I don't know if the board wants to consider this. It's sidewalk additions that he's asking to do. I don't know if the board wants to consider these or what you all want to do. I can try to get a hold of him and we can come back.
I mean, other than that kind of rounded thing next to the garage, this looks pretty straightforward. Do you know what that is, Rashay, on page 9?
Yeah, it's a rounded concrete patio. So he wants to turn that into a small rounded patio for a little set of tables and chairs.
And it's kind of like a garden or unfinished area presently.
Yes.
And it's in their backyard, right?
Yes.
Yep, it's all except for
Yeah.
the front sidewalk. He's wanting to replace the front sidewalk because it's busted.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with moving forward with this.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's go ahead and do that.
And we're okay with that sort of Y shape in the backyard instead of a T.
Well, I'm not. I'm not.
Well, I went by to see what the deal was in that southwest corner has an arbor that steps out onto the driveway. And that's why there's a path heading to the garage on the left. And then the path on the right goes to the new proposed patio.
I think we're just talking about the having a T instead of a Y is really.
Well, Beth, I would just say, even just for the homeowner, it seems like if it's a little more organic, if it had just a little more movement, a little swirl into it instead of something that's geometric. I look at all the great plans of Olmsted that were all garden-esque and they were always more organic. So I think I'd like to have it approved, provided that the sidewalk shape and form is more organic, approved at staff level. That's
Okay.
only for the rear, not for the front.
Okay.
Is that okay, Rashay? Because I actually think Rick is very correct about this.
Yep, absolutely.
And you're okay with the staff approving, and yeah, because it's that Y was a little not well designed.
Okay.
So
So let's go through them one by one then, and then vote on them if we don't mind.
So this one is.
So can we start with 72? This is the front sidewalk.
Yes.
Okay.
We were talking about 74, Beth.
Yeah.
In this.
Okay, so 72 is to demolish the front entrance sidewalk and form and pour replacement. So this is basically in kind, I think.
It'll have, and then requirement that it would have the brush finish to it. It could be a condition.
Okay, so do we have a motion for COA 21-72?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of COA 2172 with the following conditions: that the finish is brushed. My motion is based on the following findings. The sidewalk replacement is consistent with the site and streetscape standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trying to move my camera a little. All right, moving on to COA 21-73. Rear side entry and concrete steps. So we didn't actually discuss that. This is also a remove and replace.
Yes.
Yeah, and the steps are not historic in any nature. I verified that.
Okay. So this is not necessarily completely in kind, but close to it, I think. So do we have a motion for COA 21-73?
I make the motion to recommend approval of COA 21-23. A motion is based on the following findings. The rear entrance sidewalk replacement is consistent with the site and porch step stairs standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual. And just to clarify, this is the one in the back where there is the Y shape, correct?
No, this
No.
is just the one walkway and the steps.
Okay, all right. So,
That's existing.
we'll just leave it exactly the way I just stated.
All right, do we have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to COA 21-74. This is the patio and Y-shaped sidewalk in the back that we have discussed. If there's no more discussion, would someone please make a motion for COA 21-74?
I make the motion to recommend approval of COA 21-74 with the following condition: that the actual form is more organic in nature, to be approved at staff level, specifically not to be highly geometric, again, more curvy, more organic. My motion is based on the following findings. The concrete walkways are consistent with the site and streetscape standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the last one, 76, is the, 75 is the patio adjacent to the garage. Do we want to leave that shape also up to Riche? Or are we okay with the semicircle?
I'm okay with the semicircle.
I think if that's what the homeowner prefers, I was okay with the shape.
Okay. Right, so do we have a motion for COA 21-75?
Here we go. Okay, I will make a motion to recommend the approval of COA 21-75 with the following conditions. My motion is based upon the following finding: that the concrete patio is consistent with the site standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
And then we have not discussed COA second.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so COA 21-76, we have not discussed. It's to replace a wire fence with wooden privacy fence. And it's all in the rear, correct, Riche?
Yes.
Oh, it's just that one side even.
Yes, it's just the one side and it is all in the rear.
Which seems absolutely appropriate. Do we have any questions?
My only question, Beth, is, so what's a privacy fence? A wooden privacy fence? What is it? Do we have a look? Do we have a design? Do we have?
It's a 6-foot dog ear privacy fence that will go the length of the line that's presented in the application.
What's a 6-foot dog ear fence?
The little top has the little nudge.
So it's flat on top with little 45s on the corners.
Yeah.
I wish we had a image so that we're approving of an image and not hearsay.
You can make the condition that it would be 6-foot privacy dog-eared fence. You can state that if you all would like to do that.
Is it going to be stained or natural or?
I'm looking. So 6-foot natural wood, and he said he was not going to stain it. It would be left natural.
Okay.
Okay. And Rick, would you be okay with staff approval for the silhouette of the fence?
Sure. Sure would.
If that would help you feel better about it.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion for COA 21-76?
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 2176 with the following conditions: that it is a 6-foot natural wood privacy fence with final design being staff approved. My motion is based on the following findings: that the privacy fence is consistent with the fence standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Second. Thank you, Suzanne. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to COA 21-85. Sam Lacey and, oh, this is who we spoke to earlier, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're back.
We're back.
Hope your coffee was good.
All right. COA 21-85 is about the French doors at the rear of the property when you take down the demo.
Yes, so in removing that addition, as discussed earlier in the meeting, we're proposing to install French doors in the place of what would have been the exterior for that addition.
So I'm looking at the doors on page 7, and though I feel those doors are beautiful, they are a little bit modern for this style of home. Is that, Roche, is that correct or is that incorrect?
They are a modern style type of door, yes, but it is the preference of the board and what you all feel if it would be aesthetically correct to the home or not.
I feel very much that it would not. This is a very modern door.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Pat, go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing that I was not comfortable with that style.
I mean, I love that door. It's 100% my style of door, but I don't feel like it is appropriate for this house.
Would an 8-panel style door would the board feel that's more appropriate?
I think my problem with this is more that it's all flat, which is a very modern style, as opposed to having a little bit of trim along the glass. I'm okay with the 4-light, but I need a little bit more help with this, Roche.
Okay.
What age is this home that we're talking about? Is it a 1940s home?
1907.
07. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sam, do you have a technical classification for what this style is?
I do not.
We do not.
It's
Roche, do you?
she stepped away.
Oh, I think
it's not really craftsman, but it kind of puts me in mind of that. I want you to come see my sliding French door. We are on East Flagey and First Street.
Okay.
And nobody knows it's a slider to start with. Everybody tries to pull it open like it's a hand door, but it's a 2/2, two 2/2s. And when I look at the front of your home, in my mind, that would look closer than this. There are probably 100 other styles too that would look good, but like Beth says, as beautiful as this door is, it's just a little too modern.
Understood. Okay, so when we go back to the drawing board on these French doors, what should we be looking for that would satisfy the board? What changes would you like to see?
Is Roche back yet? I'm sorry.
I'm back, Beth.
Is this something you could staff approve or help them find a more appropriate door, or is that a little too much? I just feel like something that has a little bit more trim next to the glass, or, I mean, I'm not totally sure about the four lights stacked. But I feel like it could possibly be done in a more traditional way that might be okay. I really don't know on this.
That's okay. I can do staff approval with recommendations of what you are talking about. And Pat, if you mind, you can send me a picture of your door so I can kind of get an idea too of what you were discussing. You can email that to me or text that to me.
Sure, sure.
And if you're looking for all of the, you know, a full light door, even a full light door might be better than with the horizontal cross pieces, buttons, mullions, whatever they are.
Yes, we are looking for something that will allow maximum light in through the back of the home. Yep. So as much glass as possible, and originally sent metal frame doors over to Roche and was told that those were not appropriate. So we switched to these, which are wood. But I mean, we're happy to work with Roche and come up with something you all feel is more appropriate.
Okay, I would feel much better about that. So does anyone else have any questions or comments?
My only comment is maybe the horizontal mullions might be a little not as thick. And I would, Roche, if you're looking at it, I would look at maybe doing 3 lights over a lower panel. Perhaps you don't have that bottom panel that's glass. Just thoughts. I'm just kind of scanning different images while we're talking, and I would explore just making the mullions, the horizontal mullions, not as thick. That's the first thing I would look at. And that's not to say it's when I'm suggesting it's right. It's almost like I have to see it, or somebody has to see it and do it together.
Well, and also, Rick, if I might interrupt, I like your idea of the bottom panel being slightly taller than, you know, either a full light, but the bottom panel should be a little taller than what occurs at the very.
Yeah, I agree.
So if we could have a motion, including staff approval for Roche, that would be fantastic. Oh, shoot.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of COA 2185 with the following conditions: that the final door design will be staff approved. A motion is based on the following findings: the doors are consistent with the door standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Second?
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so moving on to.
So so we're just a second, please, Beth.
Yeah,
so there's staff approval. This is approved, but any door, we've got to work with Roche, and then she's got to approve the door. So if that happen, you know, a couple of weeks from now before the next meeting.
Yes, you don't have to. Forward. You do not have to come back to the meeting at all. This is approved. Roche just has to approve the actual design of the door. And that never has to come back to the board unless something crazy happens. All right. So let's see, moving on to COA 21-86, request to remove storm windows.
Yes, thank you. That's the first thing we did when we moved in our home.
Sure. Yes, we would like to remove the storm windows throughout the home and expose the historic windows under.
I have to make a motion if anybody has a problem with this.
Go right ahead, Josh.
Yes.
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 2186 with no conditions. My motion is based on the following findings: the storm window removal is consistent with the window standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to COA 21-87, request to paint window frames, metal roof, and gutters.
Okay.
I'm lost. Here we go. Are these colors all going to be the same?
Is that urbane bronze? Is that a charcoal?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's a warm charcoal gray color.
Okay.
And this, let's see, window frames, but it's just the window frames. The outside will be white.
No, we're still working on the trim color. Right now, we're just presenting the window frame itself, which when you remove those storm windows is actually black.
Right now.
So the window frame itself will be painted this urbane bronze. The roof, which is metal and red right now, will be the urbane bronze, and the gutters.
Okay. Trying to find a picture of the house so I can.
And Rashay, I know we're limited on roof colors, but this is close enough to black, isn't it, to be acceptable?
Yes. And a dark charcoal gray is also acceptable.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay. Do we have any more questions? All right. Do we have a motion for COA 21-87?
I make the motion to recommend approval of COA 21-87. My motion is based on the following findings. The painting is consistent with paint standards set forth in Section 4 of Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Do we have a second?
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so guys, I'm sure you've heard that this has to go through City Council, and that's in a week, I believe. And then you'll get a letter from Rashay saying you can move forward with this.
Nika, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
It is so nice to see your granddad and your grandmother in you. It's just marvelous. I had to say that.
That's very kind of you to say. I appreciate it.
Wonderful people in my life.
Thank you.
All right, guys, moving on to COA 21-88, Ryan and Beth Clark. Request to add an addition to 210 East Stephen Foster.
So this is Ryan. Beth isn't with me. She's at a baseball game. So just generally, if I need to describe generally what we're doing, we're wanting to do an addition, approximately 900 square foot addition to an existing 1,600 square foot house, staying within the confines or the width of the house, and not, of course, not extending outside of the property lines onto any other property.
Okay.
Is this the plans I picked up today, Rashay?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the square footage of the house currently?
Approximately 1,600 square foot.
So you're looking to go up to 25.
About 20, yeah.
Ish.
Approximately 2,500. That's right.
And the materials are all consistent with what's existing, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So there's vinyl siding. We'll remove that. We'll expose the wood siding. We'll salvage the wood siding, and then add on the addition cedar wood siding that would match the same profiles as existing.
Perfect.
And Ryan, on the overall plan, at the back of the house off the back porch, is that the tree that those double circles? I know you've got that giant tree back there.
Yeah, no, the circles, I think that's indicating like a fire pit at some point.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And there will be a tree that will be removed as part of the addition. Yeah, Ryan sent that information to me. So I did not have it was sent to me the day the COAs went out, so I didn't have an opportunity to make a separate COA for that. So that is something we need to consider and talk about with the new construction one. I put it in with this one.
Okay, I did have another question, actually. Is the outbuilding also to be removed?
Yes, yes, we do intend to remove the outbuilding, but do hope to add a garage in the back.
Yeah, because we didn't have a COA for that, so.
Oh, yeah. So Ryan, you'll have to come back for a demo for that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
didn't even think about it. I didn't. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
You live too close to me, Ryan.
Yeah, that's right.
It's property.
That's right. Yes.
It's a nice property.
Yeah, we're real excited about it.
How old is the shed?
I don't think it's very old, but I don't have an age. I mean, the inside looks relatively new construction. I mean, the 2x4s are not real discolored or anything like that.
Okay.
I don't think it's very old.
Good. Okay. Excellent.
Okay. So what I'm looking at in the plan, what will be added is 2 bedrooms, a sitting room, and a covered porch.
That is correct. I think there's a bathroom in between bedrooms, but yes, that's correct.
Yeah, yeah. And Riche, for an addition, like this is reasonable, right? Like it's not even half. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, it's a little more than
proportion.
half, but yes, it seems
The size
pretty
proportion
reasonable.
is, yeah, reasonable.
And currently we are not discussing, we're discussing just if we're willing to let them have an addition, right? Not what it's made of.
Yep. So the next one, 89 is windows, 90 is siding, 91 is the roof, 92 is shutters, 93 is doors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Do we have the pool in this set of stuff?
No.
No, we do not.
Okay, because I was worried about how little green space I'm seeing here.
We have a site, the site plan still is being completed. And I did have planning and zoning do a preliminary look at it. So I do know the site plan has to be done, which the 30% number would be determined and verified at that point. But I'm very familiar with needing at least 30% green space.
Okay.
So it would be a condition upon this that it has to meet all requirements of planning and zoning.
Correct. I understand.
In one of those requirements, Ryan, is the easement off the sides of the property. And I was wondering about that on the garage because that west side is so close to that property line that comes in.
Right. Yes, I'm very, so I think it's 5 feet from the eave of the garage. We have to make sure that we meet that. I do understand that and I may not get the terminology exactly correct, but these plats, there's some grandfathering that happens and exact lines and stuff are not always super clear. But again, we're working with Horizon Engineering to determine the site plan. They're slammed with work and we just haven't been able to get that completed yet. But yes, I understand we have to maintain that 5 foot from the eave to the property line.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Is there anything in the addition that is wider than the front portion of the house? I'm not seeing anything that is, but I just want to make sure.
Not only that, but there's nothing higher either. So
okay.
Not wider and not.
That was my next question.
Yeah, and the garage as well. The garage, and again, I know it's down the line here, but the garage is no higher than the highest point of the house either.
Okay. All right. So we're just in COA 21-88. We're just, if we approve it, it's talking about the addition, not the pool, not the garage. And looking at the plans, they seem fine to me. But do we have any other questions, guys?
So one of the requirements would be that it would have to meet all requirements that this would be a condition upon this approval, and it'll be the same thing with the garage one when we get to that one, that it would have to meet all requirements by planning and zoning, but the big tree would have to come down. So we also need to know what you would plan on planting back, Ryan, and where.
So definitely a I think a large tree, if there's the space to do so. I don't have an exact species picked out, but possibly a tulip poplar. I know that's something that we've done before that I know is a native tree, but in location too, it would be near the alley, on the side, between the garage and the house, but near the alley. Inside the fence.
Okay, Rashay, is that something we can do as conditional, but will have to be in the landscape plan?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Do we have any other questions? If not, do we have a motion that includes all of the planning and zoning and the tree conditions? It's a good one, guys.
Yeah.
Well, I'll try it and you can straighten me out. I will make the motion to recommend the approval of COA 21-88 with the following conditions. My motion is based upon the following findings. The addition is consistent with the new construction standards set forth in Section 5, Bardstown Historic Design and Review Manual. The condition also being that all measurements and additions will meet all requirements for planning and zoning regulations for the city of Bardstown. Also, that the tree that will need to be removed will then be staff approved for replacement species and location.
Can we put that in the landscape?
Landscape, yeah.
Yeah, instead of staff approved. Yeah.
Yeah. Erase
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Well, I'll come back to you with a landscape plan.
All righty. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on to COA 21-89, request to add, this is for the windows in the addition.
Correct. So we'll use the exact same look and style. I think it's a 4-light window, double hung in the existing home that we would use. There's a Marvin window, and Rashay, you may have to help me with the terminology, but is it mullions? Is that the correct term?
Yep.
Are in line with what you described, and that they appear to be old. You might better describe that better than me.
Yeah. So, and what we're wanting on these new windows, we have to have 3 components, and I think we talked about this, Ryan.
Yes.
So it has to have the exterior mutton, an interior divider plane in between the double panes, and then an interior mutton to appear true divided. And so those are the 3 requirements for these. And then just for clarification, because we have to do this, the original windows are not being touched, right, on the original structure.
No, there's 2 that we're going to ask to shutter, but no, other than that, no.
Okay, excellent.
And the material of the windows?
It is a Marvin window product. I believe the new ones are a aluminum clad exterior, I believe, in wood interior. The existing windows, of course, are wood.
Okay. Do we have any other questions?
But they'll match the original windows pretty much exactly, Ryan, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
All right. Do we have a motion for COA 21-89?
Do we have any conditions put on this other than just matching the existing?
And either, he said aluminum clad and wood on the interior. I think that should be included.
Yeah. I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 2189 with the following conditions: that the exteriors are aluminum clad, the interior finish is wood, and match the existing. My motion is based on the following findings. The windows are consistent with the new construction standards set forth in Section 5 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Can we just add the condition that the existing windows are not to be touched?
Yeah.
That's for us, sir, not for you, Ryan.
It's all good.
You seem to be on the straight and narrow. So, all right. The next is COA 21-90.
Do we have a second to that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm excited.
You second that.
Okay, got it. And then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect.
All
Okay.
right. Jumping ahead. COA 21-90. This is the siding.
So wood siding, it will be on the addition that would match the same profile as the wood siding that we will expose when we remove the vinyl from the home.
I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
I make the motion to recommend approval of COA 2190 with the following conditions. The motion is based on the following findings. The siding is consistent with the siding and trim standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Second.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And can we also add a thanks for removing the vinyl?
Yes, a big thank you.
Yeah, I'm all for that too.
All right, moving on to COA 21-91. This is the roof on the addition.
Yeah, so asphalt shingle roof on most. There is a very low pitch shed roof in the back that would be the standing seam flat, 16 inches between the 1 inch standing seam, completely flat. There are some colors too. I don't know if this is the time to talk about the colors on the roof, but those are the material types.
Yes.
So, Ron, you have proposed a light gray, which I think we talked about, and unfortunately that isn't an approved roof color.
Okay.
So we have to do either like a charcoal gray or a black with that. So the approved roof colors that have been historically proven in Bardstown are dark green, dark red, a black, a dark charcoal gray, and then a very dark brown. Those are the ones that we have proof of that have existed here historically. So a light gray would have been more, unfortunately, like, how do I put it? Like a barn roof would have been more of the, in keeping with that. So the color is something that I, of course, because I know the approved colors, you know, am very leery of and have an issue with.
I understand. So there's and I don't know if you have a copy of this or if this is the time to ask about a different color. I have, and I don't know if this is in our application. I have a Georgetown gray, which I can hold up, and it's a landmark color. I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's still in the same manufacturer, Heritage, but it's, I don't know if this helps you, if I could hold it up to a camera, but well, if that helps you. Georgetown gray. Oh, you can see the lighter gray above it, so it's the darker.
Yeah, that's more of a charcoal color.
Okay.
I think we've actually approved that one before, guys.
Yes.
My only question is, the existing roof, is it green?
It is.
And
It
is this going to replace that portion as well?
Yes, ma'am, it will.
Do we need to, is that something we're talking about, Riche, or can we approve that with the addition, or do we have to have another COA for that?
For replacing the green roof?
Yes. He said.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Then we would have to modify this, to include the original roof as well. Okay. So it's replacing not just the addition, it's not doing the addition roof, so we're replacing the entire roof. Got it. That's so that is, so we're modifying that to actually be the entire roof be changed. What portion of it did you state was going to be, so I'll make the changes that I need to make to that COA for that, guys. I'll change that, but just act as if that this is for the entire structure then instead of just for the addition. Okay.
And where is this flat-ish portion?
Yeah, where is the metal portion that you're wanting to do, Ryan?
It's in the back, so not visible from the street, and likely not even visible from the alley. The back alley because the garage will be there, and the side alley just because the addition will extend beyond that shed roof. So you really only see it if you're standing in the backyard. It basically is covering the sitting area and the covered porch. I could probably find you.
Riche, it's on 13. It's that says on the bottom right, it says plus or minus 2.5 and a half. I think I can't totally read those numbers.
Okay.
Oh no, 2.5 over 12.
Got it.
That's what it says.
I'm finding it. Thank you, Beth.
You're welcome.
So it's a really shallow pitch. That's why it needs to be metal there, just to be
Got
safe.
it. Okay, so it will be the 16-inch seam to seam, completely flat in between the seams. Okay.
That's correct.
So that would be a condition on that. And then the condition for the final roof color, as far as the metal portion, if everyone's okay with the gray, the darker gray now that we're doing, I would like to give final approval for the metal portion, because I know we don't have a sample of that.
Yeah, so we want to match the asphalt shingle shutter color on the flat roof, or on the metal roof. So if that's what you're saying.
Yeah. And that is a charcoal gray, the shingle that you're proposing, right?
It is.
Okay.
I would request that Riche not necessarily see a shingle, but at least see a pamphlet before that is given final approval.
Understand. No problem.
Is that okay with you, Riche?
Oh yeah, that's great.
Do we have any other questions about the roof? Do we have a motion for COA 21-91?
Okay, on this question on the motion itself, can I use the phrase on the entire roof, or do we need to make two separate motions?
No, I would say use the phrase for the entire structure, please. So, and then I'll modify the COA to match that.
Okay, very good. So I will make a motion to recommend approval of COA 21-91 with the following conditions. My motion is based upon the following findings. The roof is consistent with the new construction standards set forth in Section 5 of the Bardstown Historic Design and Review Manual. This will be for the entire roof of this structure. The metal standing seam roof will also be included on the flatter portion of the home, and that color will be staff approved.
And that it will be the 16 inches seam to seam with the flat in between the seams.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Suzanne.
All right. Moving on to COA 21-92. This is shutters.
Yeah, so just a wood, cedar shutter, louvered shutter. It's just a wood shutter, and I know there's a hardware that's part of the application as well, and then the S hook. This would go on all windows, existing and new.
Do we have a precedent for shutters on this home?
We do. They have evidence of historically having shutters. So the seals, I was able to examine those, and they do have evidence of having shutters.
Okay. And will they remain cedar, or will they be painted?
They will be painted.
And is that another COA, Riche?
Yes, I believe so.
It is.
Okay, then we don't
That's
have
the
to
next
address the color. Are there any other questions, guys?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of COA 2192 with no conditions. My motion is based on the following findings. The shutters are consistent with the shutter standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can we address one thing? I know we just approved it, but I just want to make sure that the bottom panel on the shutter is slightly taller than the top panel on the shutter. Not the panel, but like the very bottom piece. It's just more historically appropriate.
Yep, I understand what you're saying, and that I'm great with that.
I'm sorry that I didn't bring that up before until after we approved it. Is that okay? Riche, tell me I'm okay.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll put it in there as part of the, Can we redo the motion with a condition with that? Can we do that if that's okay? Josh?
Sure.
Thanks.
Gotta go back. Hold on.
Sorry.
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 2192 with the following conditions that I don't know what you want to call it. It's not really a panel.
The bottom portion of the shutter will be slightly larger than
I think it's called a rail, the bottom rail.
Yes.
The bottom rail is larger or smaller?
Slightly larger top rail.
Okay. Slightly larger than the top rail.
And do we have to second and approve it again? Or do all those things? Second?
I can
All
second.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys.
Good catch.
Moving on to COA 21-93.
The door.
Doors. So the front door that you are seeing, standing on the sidewalk looking straight at the house stays in place. We're going to use the existing door. There's a second door that's, if you were to do a hard right, if you're walking toward the front door, that we plan to shutter. We plan to shutter that door. And then we're going to add a French door, what I've always heard referred to as just a man door, just a regular entry door, and then also a double slide door in the back. So those last three, there's the French door, the double slide, and the just entry door is in the back. Those are all in the back.
So real quick, on page 20, it features the double sliding doors, and I believe that's very similar to the one that we just denied.
Yes. Do you have a better picture of the style of the door, Ryan, that you and Beth were?
It's a sketch. And probably what you have. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
That's probably. Hold on. Let me look. I might. Give me just a second here. Yeah, I mean, this is a photo.
Yeah, and we had that's so modern looking for the home in the.
Okay. So is it more the light placement? Is it more that, or is it the actual material the door's made of? 'Cause I guess they would be aluminum clad, I'm sure. Of course, painted the same color as the windows.
It's also about the section of I'm not
trim.
sure how to say it. The section of the trim around the glass and on the muttons and mullions, depending on what you have. It's and how large those are. And I mean, I'm okay with those horizontal windows. I mean,
Sliders, yeah.
But it's just like if it's just a flat piece of wood, that's not appropriate. It's a very modern style, and it can be beautiful, but it's not appropriate for a historic home.
If it's in line with what you had shared before with Micah and Sam, I mean, if that's something that we can work with Rashay on, I think I understand what you're saying, but rather than try to articulate back what you said, if we can work with Rashay on something like that, if she's okay with it, is the same true on the French doors, or is it just a double slider that we need to work with her on?
It's kind of hard to see the style of these guys.
They all have that same, the French door and the sliders both have that same division with the three lights. And then the entry door in the back was divided just at the top with a 4 light, and then had a wood looking panel bottom.
Other than the rear entry door, I think the other two would both need to be more in keeping with the home's aesthetic.
Yeah, possibly a central vertical divider to sort of match the lights in most of the other windows might be helpful. Rashay, is that something he can work with you on?
Yes, he can.
Okay,
We can do
and
that
we're,
soundproof.
okay. And then if you look at the plans, the house elevations, there are two, he talked about this, a window that's going to be shuttered and a door that's going to be shuttered, like closed.
That's right.
Is that okay?
Yes, that's
Okay,
fine.
that's because he's keeping the opening, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's
okay.
going to cover it with the shutters. That's correct.
And
You
I
are
thought
keeping the opening, right, Ryan? That
That's
opening
correct.
was
The opening will stay. That's correct.
Great.
And we'll shutter it. Yep.
because that's kind of the best scenario, right?
Yes.
When people want to kind of lose an opening, but they keep it, but they still gain the space.
Yep.
Okay. Are there any other questions about the doors? I'm just trying to make sure the front door is staying the same. And the covered porch are having doors added, and then I can't see this. The bedroom is having French doors added, right?
That's
Those
correct.
are the only exterior doors we're talking about.
On the addition, that's correct. Yep.
Okay, so we're just gonna have Rashay work with you on both sets of doors, correct?
That's fine.
Okay. I'm okay with all that. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, can we have a motion for COA 21-93 with the conditions of working with Rashay?
I will make a motion to recommend approval of COA 21-93 with the following conditions. My motion is based on the findings that the doors are consistent with the new construction standards set forth in Section 5 of the Bardstown Historic Design and Review Manual. And condition being that the final design of the sliders and the other doors will be approved, final approval with Rashay and the homeowners.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Moving on to 21-94. This is paint.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna get to that layout of paint colors. So there's a house, and of course there a garage too. It would be the same color, really close to white. I think the name is Snowbound. The trim is a little lighter shade of white. The shutters are neutral. I don't know if y'all can see all that. I can read all that stuff off to you, but the front door, even though this was a conversation and almost a debate at my home, is pink. I'm not so sure about that. My wife's not here to comment. Of course, the ceiling of the porch is that light blue, and then garage doors is that steel line or skyline steel.
Is the porch ceiling on our screens? It looks a little bit green. Is it blue?
It's blue. It's more blue.
Okay.
It is a blue.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Hank blue.
Rashay, how's that pink work for us?
It's a really light, very pale pink, and it seems to be appropriate. It isn't anything that's bright or neon or anything of that nature.
Okay. And all of the whites are cool?
Yep, they are. They're more of a creamy white. They're not stark white. And it says, it actually calls it a high reflective white, but it's really not. It's actually more of a kind of a paler color compared to the paper that I'm holding. So they're not anything that I would have an issue with.
Okay.
None of them.
Do we have any questions?
On the whites, will those two, they seem so close to each other. How will that work? You know, I don't do perceptual too well sometimes. I mean, will that work okay?
I mean, I think the whole thing currently is 100% white. Everything is white, which I'm not a huge fan of.
So there'll be some contrast.
There will be, yeah. There's one of the first white, but I can't, snowbound, I think. I can't read it exactly. But that one for the house and garage is a darker white than the other white.
Okay, so there'll be a little contrast there.
There is a contrast there, yeah.
Okay. And I'm surprised the pink flies.
I'll let you talk to Beth about that.
Yeah, I just assumed that was a big NO.
Oh.
I think the only thing we say no to is like super bright neon. I mean, you know, it has to be reasonable. We can't hate it, but is it on the very front, or is there a porch on the front?
There is a porch. It'll be open. And that's actually the next item on there, but open porch, and you'll be able to see the door from the sidewalk.
Yeah, but it'll be kind of shaded. It won't be like right on the very front of the house.
That is correct. Yes.
I can be okay with that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie that I painted the inside of my front door hot pink, so whatever. It's on the inside. You all can't say anything to me.
I make a motion to recommend approval.
Thank you, Suzanne.
CO 2194 with no conditions. The motion is based on the following findings. The paint colors are consistent with the paint standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historical Design Review Manual.
Do we have a second?
Okay.
Was that you, Josh?
Yep.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to COA 21-95. Request to open up the front porch to the property.
Yeah, so there's a screen. It's screened at the moment and has probably a 3-foot wall that connects between the posts. So we want to open the porch completely up, expose the square columns that are there. I believe there's 2 columns, one kind of in, kind of near the middle, and then of course one on the corner. So we really just want to we want to open that porch up. I guess that's the right way to describe it.
Which I imagine it was originally.
I would assume so too. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it would have been an open porch originally.
My only request is if once you open it up, if there's any changes that have to be made, that Rashay approve those prior to.
Yes, and with this one, there is a slight issue. The railing that they have proposed is a cross, like, yeah, this. And unfortunately, our guidelines, specifically PO10, the railings, so if they wanted to have railings, so it says design replacement porch railings and balusters to match the original as closely as possible. If it's technically or economically unfeasible to accomplish this, a simplified porch rail and baluster design may be used by 2-inch by 4-inch rails and 2-inch pickets set up between top and bottom rails and nailed to the inside of the rail. Railings should be finished with paint or opaque stain. So the X is not appropriate with the porches. And I believe we discussed that a little bit, Ryan, too.
Yeah, we really like the X, but yes, I do remember you discussing that.
Yeah, so that one, I want to make sure that if this is approved to do that, that the railings are appropriate and match the guidelines.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that's
I guess it would be an option to not have any railing as well. Would that be?
That is, yes. You can absolutely. Yeah.
And that's probably more appropriate. That's probably what they had because there's no drop. I mean,
Yeah.
if they're very small.
Yeah, so you don't have to have railings, Ryan, if you don't want to. I just wanted to make sure, unfortunately, that X isn't appropriate.
I understand.
And if there was a railing, I feel like, no, never mind. I'm a liar. Never mind. So can we leave the porch railing as staff approval, or would he need to come back?
No, he can do staff approval on that. I know I feel confident in making a decision if you guys are confident in me, to make sure that that would be appropriate and fit, if you guys are okay with that.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Are there any more questions? Do we have a motion for COA 21-95?
I will make a motion to recommend the approval of COA 21-95. My motion is based on the following findings: that the porch alterations are consistent with the porches, steps, and stairs and new construction standards set forth in section 4 and 5 of Bardstown Historic Design and Review Manual. If after opening up the porch, the homeowners decide to go with the railing system, that the new railing style would be staff approved by Richey.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, moving on to COA 21-97. This is for the foundation for the addition.
And you're just doing a poured concrete, is that correct, Ryan?
That's correct.
And that's what the original house is as well, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
And
how much of it will actually be visible?
Very little. I mean, if we keep the same, I feel like if it matches the existing, which is our intent, you won't see much of the foundation at all.
Okay. All right. Do we have any other questions, guys?
No.
Is it
Make
going
a
to be
motion to recommend approval.
hold on. Sorry. Is it going to be painted the same color as the siding?
Yes, because I think the existing is painted, so I do think it would be the same paint color as the main white. Yes.
Richey, can we include that here, or do we have approved painting and paints colors, and we can leave it there?
No, you can approve that with this one. That's fine.
It's just saying it's matching, right? It's matching the existing. I mean, that's part of the COA.
Yeah,
Right.
we can do that here.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 2197 with no conditions. My motion is based on the following findings. The foundation is consistent with the new construction standards set forth in section 5 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Who is that?
Pat.
That was Pat.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. The last thing is the garage. And I have a question. Could we table this until we okay a demo?
You can, yeah, and that's
I would
probably
feel
better.
about approving a demo before we approve something to be built there. And since he has to come back for the demo anyway.
Yeah, so Ryan, are you okay with that for right now?
I am. I will tell you that the shed that needs to be removed, and I plan to remove it in whole, is my hope, to pick it up and move it and take it someplace else. But the garage is not going to encroach on the existing shed. It is not anywhere close to it.
Shed's patio area.
But yeah, the shed is pretty far enough removed from the house. Now, once we start looking at the actual addition, I may actually need to come back quickly for the demo or the removal of the shed, because it might encroach in the actual house addition. It would be closer to that than it would be the garage.
Ooh. Well, Richey, what do you want to do?
Well, we can go ahead and review it then at this point then. If it's not going to interfere with that, then I don't see a reason to table it.
Okay. Okay. So that's COA 21-96.
Just to quickly review that, it's exact same siding, wood siding, exact same doors, that would be approved through Riche that that we've just talked about, and the same windows that you guys approved as well. There is asphalt shingle would match the approved that dark charcoal shingle, and then there is a metal section that is right in line in the same pitch as the little section in the back of the house that's actually on the back of the garage facing the backyard.
And Ryan, this garage will not be higher than the original house, correct?
That is correct. It will not. It will not be higher than the existing house.
So this is kind of a culmination like I did with Joe. I just didn't want to do separate applications for all this. Once we've reviewed all of the separate things, I figured we could lump that into one and the board be comfortable with it. So it'd be the aluminum clad windows, doors to be staff approved. It would still have the square columns as presented on the front porch, which are already existing. The metal standing seam roof, 16 inches seam to seam with a 1-inch rise, completely flat in between, no ridges whatsoever. Right. And then I'm looking at any other details. The garage doors, which actually, so those, yeah, and those can be staff approved as well.
I'm just looking at sheet 6 of the elevations.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure we're cool with that little roof bump out.
That's where
the little triangular piece.
That'll be metal.
Yes, that part would be metal. Yep.
Okay. It's showing us all metal, but it'll be shingle. Where will it be shingle and where will it be metal?
Shingle on the, is it a 12/7 pitch on the, that gabled portion, that shingle, and then
yes,
transition to metal on the 12, 2.5. So the nearly flat section will be metal.
Okay. I think that's okay. Do we need to approve the columns, or Riche, is that something?
That'll be just something that's, yeah, you can do the staff approval on that. I would want them to match. Yeah.
Yeah. So staff approval on the columns and the garage doors. Hold on a second. We never talked about the round window.
It's staying. I love it.
That's existing.
Yes, that's existing.
On the rear elevation.
Oh, maybe you need to point that out to me. I thought you were talking about that when you said round.
Of course I'm saying. I'm talking about on the rear elevation. There's above the French doors. There's a round window.
Okay.
Roche, is that something? I mean, I know we didn't address it, but I feel like we should. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I mean, I'm okay with it because of the half round in the front. It kind of ties it together, but we just missed it.
You're talking about sheet 3 of 6?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the rear elevation.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to bring that into the garage. I'm just looking at these drawings again. Well, let's finish the garage and then we can address that window. So the garage 1, has this gone through planning and zoning so we know about green space and setbacks?
So still, that's part of the site plan that I've got preliminary approval from planning and zoning because of the backup that Horizon Engineering is experiencing. But of course, we'll have to get approval, and I understand that. Planning and zoning.
Okay, so that will have to be included in our motion. And then the columns and the doors on the garage will have to be staff approved. I would say all the doors and including the garage doors, but I think the windows are just going to match the house. Does that address everything, Roche?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so who wants to do that? I can't, or I would.
I know. So I will make the motion to recommend the approval of COA 21-96. My motion is based on the findings that the new garage is consistent with the new construction standards set forth in Section 5 of Bardstown Historic Design and Review Manual, that it will meet all the requirements of planning and zoning, especially for green space requirements, and that the columns and doors, final designs can be staff approved.
Do we have a second?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So Rashay, that window that we missed, what should we do about that? I mean, I think it's fine, but
If you all are okay with it, then the motion can stay as stands. If anyone is opposing to it, then this is the time to talk about it.
I'm not opposed to it.
No, it's okay.
And I will tell you, there are other rounder windows like that in the historic district on rear elevations. And Rosalie Ballard has an exact one.
yeah, and I think it's lovely. We just missed
Okay.
it and wanted to point it out.
Okay.
Everybody's okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I have lost all my papers.
It's okay. Thank you, Ryan. We've got another week. We have to do the demo. I would suggest, so basically before we do anything else, before you can start on the new edition, we'd have to get that demo of that shed. So come back to me. Just fill out another application and send it to me with pictures to demo the shed and prove that it's not 50 years or older for me.
Okay.
And have that by June 1st, and we'll have you on the June agenda.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then wait one more week for city council approval.
So just to be clear on what, so everything you approved today, will that be approved in the upcoming city council meeting, or does the demo have to be done before it all is approved?
It'll be approved in the upcoming city council meeting. I don't think that the demo, but before you begin construction, you would have to wait until the demo would be completed
Okay.
and approved. Yeah.
Understand. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for pretty straightforward stuff you brought to us. Appreciate that.
A lot of work went into that. So good. I'm glad.
It's
Yes.
quite obvious. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have
Yeah.
no provisional approvals, new business?
Yeah, so I worked with Willie Edlin and we created some new historic district signage because the existing historic district signage is in pretty bad shape. So it's broken, it's kind of cracked, and it's beautiful. It definitely is. I love the original historic district signs, and shout out to David Hall for creating them. But the city has went with a color scheme of a darker red with a cream, and these new designs conform to the city sign design. So basically the mayor gives final approval on this, but I just wanted opinions, and I really wanted some feedback on this before we went forward. I didn't want to start installing these and my board not be supportive of it.
Is it somewhere in our?
Yes, it's in other documents. And it shows before and after. There's two different signs. One is the historic district boundary sign, property. So it's smaller. There was a triangle there. I've got one of the ones that's busted. Pieces are missing out of it, etc. And then the second one is the information signs downtown. So they're just white. And I believe Dr. Harry Spalding, he had worked on this project to help get information signs. So Willie had helped create a plaque that has the information sign but matches the color scheme of the city. So there's two separate ones, before and after pictures.
So I'm in other documents. Rashay, where in other documents is it located?
It should say, I'm so sorry,
Well,
Rick, I can't.
There's two. There's before and after boundary and before and after info.
That's it.
Both of those?
Yes, there's
quite
two separate.
nice. Yeah, they look very good. And like you said, they conform to the new color scheme for the city.
Yeah, I like those.
What is the material, Riche?
It will be, it'll be a PVC board.
I don't like that at all.
You want it to be wood?
Yeah, we got to get away from plastic. I mean, if
Okay.
we're doing signs, we need wood, or you can go to metal. The metal is just is probably the more appropriate material.
Okay. What about
And
the
is it
design?
going to
Rick?
be? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Is it just going to be flat, or is it going to be?
It will have an
rounded?
edge to it. It will have a little decorative edge to it that'll be shaped onto it. You can't really tell that in the picture, but it is going to be there. It's quite nice.
I struggle with the sign for the entry into the historic district.
Do you have some suggestions with that, Rick?
It's too square. It needs to be taller.
Well, I just think it needs to be in the hands of a professional graphic designer. I mean, the world's most beautiful small town in America. I mean, we're trying to set a standard, and so that imagery of those buildings, are those existing buildings in downtown Bardstown?
No, I couldn't use, I'm not allowed to use existing buildings because I would be playing favorites from the mayor. So I had to use like an icon that represents the buildings, but I'm not allowed to pick specific buildings to represent, which is a very good point. So if I chose, for instance, a section of 3rd Street, and tried to make a graphic icon out of that, I would be picking certain businesses, and I'm not going to be allowed to do that.
Fine,
So,
we won't pick specific businesses, but that imagery does not look like the imagery of our downtown.
Could we use the visitor center or the city hall or whatever is in the middle of the circle? That's pretty iconic, but city owned.
potentially, yes.
I mean, does Bardstown have its own branding for the whole entire city?
Yes. And so that the font and the colors are the city colors, but we don't, the HRB board doesn't have a logo. It doesn't have an icon logo.
I don't
So
think it
that
should. I don't think it should have an icon logo. Well, I mean, there's a whole discussion there. Frankly, I like the old sign much better.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't just, I'm sorry, but it's just not a staff member and a mayor making a decision like this. I think there's a whole major conversation. If we're redoing the design standards for the town, that ought to be part of that discussion. So that's just my opinion.
Does anybody else have any comments?
Are we redoing the sign standards here shortly?
We are redoing the signs. We are redoing the HRB standards. It'll be probably later this year. The signage standards, we are going to be redoing those. Yes.
Well, to his point, I mean, is this something we could kind of hold off on until we kind of tackle all that together, or does this need to be expedited?
This would need to be done before that. So, but I mean, if the board doesn't have a consensus that they like it, then I'll get that back to the mayor.
Yeah, I prefer the new one over the old one. The screws don't show, the colors are better, the material, well, if we use the old one, we'd have to redo all the material anyway because it's deteriorated.
Okay, so I don't want to take up too much more of your guys' time with the discussion. I know you all are tired and you've done an excellent job tonight, so thank you. I appreciate that. If you guys want to send me individual emails or comments, because you don't have to vote on this. This isn't something that's being voted on. It's actually, it's something that the mayor and I have been working on, and Willie Edlin. You all can send me individual emails about that, and then I can forward that to the mayor so that we can have feedback on that.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Any more business? I'm not seeing anybody. The next Bardstown Historical Review Board meeting is on June 15th, 2021.
So we just need a motion to adjourn, guys.
Move that we adjourn.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, guys.